3 months, 90 days, 12 weeks, and as of today, Nancy Guthrie is still missing. No arrest, no named suspect, no confirmed answers. Just a family holding on, a daughter sitting behind a television camera every morning wearing yellow, and a community that goes to sleep every night, not knowing if the person who took their neighbor is still out there. But today, on this painful milestone, 2 developments have landed that nobody in this investigation was prepared for. First, new physical evidence. Clothing matching what Nancy wore on the night she disappeared. DNA and fingerprints recovered from an abandoned SUV connected to the case. A retired FBI agent who reviewed this evidence said it is the kind of forensic detail that could, his exact words, light a fire on social media overnight and generate millions of tips. And second, a former SWAT commander who spent his entire career in Pima County sat down today and said something that every person following this case needs to hear. He said the investigators are working hard. He said they are not giving up. And then he said this: "The reality is, in some time, this case might go cold." Today, we break down what that means, what the new evidence shows, and why, despite everything, there is still genuine reason to hold on. Legal disclaimer. The information in this video is based on publicly available reports and verified news sources. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. All persons mentioned are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. Today delivered some of the most significant updates this case has seen in weeks. Let's go through each one. New physical evidence, clothing and an abandoned SUV. A retired FBI special agent who reviewed details shared by law enforcement has described the latest forensic finds in this case as potentially game-changing. According to the agent, new items recovered during a recent search warrant execution include clothing that matches what Nancy was wearing on the night she disappeared. Investigators also recovered DNA and fingerprints from an abandoned SUV that has been connected to the case. Digital forensics teams are examining seized devices for location data, communications, and financial trails. The retired agent did not mince words about the significance of this evidence. Physical evidence linking a suspect to both a vehicle and the victim's belongings, combined with DNA and fingerprints, is exactly the kind of forensic package that can move a stalled investigation forward dramatically. In today's environment, the agent noted, one solid piece of forensics released publicly could generate millions of tips overnight.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department has confirmed it continues to work closely with the FBI. As of today, no suspect has been publicly named, but the evidence pipeline is more active than it has been in weeks. The Sheriff's Department breaks its silence. After weeks of near total silence, the Pima County Sheriff's Department issued a new statement today marking the 3-month milestone. The statement was brief. It urged anyone with information to come forward and directed the public to the tip lines. It was simple. It was quiet. And to many people following this case, it felt like far too little, far too late. But investigators speaking to media outlets this week pushed back on that perception. The department confirmed that the investigation remains active and ongoing, that they continue working closely with the FBI, and that every lead is still being actively pursued. The message from law enforcement today was clear. They have not given up, but they need the public's help now more than ever. The reward has grown. The combined reward for information leading to Nancy's recovery now stands at over $1,200,000. The Guthrie family's $1 million reward and the FBI's $50,000 contribution remain active. If anyone out there knows anything at all, that is a life-changing amount of money waiting for a phone call.
Now, here is where today's update takes its most unexpected and sobering turn. Parade Magazine sat down exclusively today with former Pima County SWAT commander Bob Krieger, a man who spent his entire career working investigations in this exact county with these exact agencies. And what he said was both reassuring and deeply honest in a way that few officials have been willing to be throughout this case. On the question of whether 90 days changes anything for investigators, Krieger was direct.
The 3-month mark, he said, is really insignificant to the people inside the investigation. The task force, including both the Sheriff's Department and the FBI, are working just as hard today as they were on day 1. Milestones are for the public and the media. Investigators follow evidence and leads, not calendars. But then he said something else, something that landed differently. He said, hopefully the outcome is the identification, arrest, and conviction of a suspect. That would include bringing Nancy home. But the reality is, in some time, this case might go cold. Cases like this, he noted, are sometimes solved 20, 30, even 40 years later. The people working this case right now, he said, might be retired by the time a suspect is identified.
40 years. That is not a number anyone following this case wanted to hear on day 90. But Krieger was not being cruel. He was being honest. And he ended with this: do not think for 1 second that the investigators are not working hard. Their goal is still the same: get justice for Nancy and the Guthrie family. Adding another layer to today's picture, forensic psychologist Dr. Gary Brucato, a member of the Cold Case Foundation, stated this week that he believes Nancy likely knew her kidnapper. He pointed to the suspect's unusually calm behavior on the surveillance footage as evidence of what he called a psychopathic character structure and possible prior contact with law enforcement. A calculated person, someone who had been in this kind of situation before. Let's sit with the weight of what day 90 actually means, not for the investigators, but for everyone else. Bob Krieger is right that milestones are for the public more than for investigators, but that does not make them meaningless. Milestones matter because they mark how long a family has been waiting, how long a community has been afraid, how long a daughter has been sitting behind a television camera carrying something that no one on the outside can fully see. Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show in April. She wore yellow, the color of the flowers and ribbons left by well-wishers outside her mother's neighborhood. She did not fall apart on television. She showed up every single day. That kind of public composure in the face of private devastation is one of the most quietly extraordinary things this case has produced. The new physical evidence, the clothing, the SUV, the DNA and fingerprints, changes the texture of this investigation in a meaningful way. For weeks, the conversation had been dominated by what investigators did not have: no named suspect, no confirmed motive, no public breakthrough. Now there is something concrete, something tangible, something that a forensics lab can process and compare and potentially match to a real human being. The psychopathic character theory from Dr. Brucato also deserves serious attention. A suspect who is calm on camera, who may have prior contact with law enforcement, who planned this crime carefully enough to disable security systems and cover a doorbell camera with foliage. This is not someone acting on pure impulse. This is someone who has either done something like this before or who spent significant time preparing. Either way, it points to a person who can be profiled, traced, and ultimately found. The question is whether the evidence now in investigators' hands is enough to make that happen, and how soon. Today, I want to ask you something different. 3 months in, new physical evidence, a former SWAT commander warning the case could go cold, a retired FBI agent saying the new forensics could generate millions of tips overnight. My question for you today is this: do you still believe Nancy Guthrie will be found? And do you think the new evidence recovered from the abandoned SUV is the breakthrough this case has been waiting for? I want to hear from you. Drop your honest answer in the comments, because on a day like today, your voices matter more than ever. Here is what I need you to watch for in the days and weeks ahead. The DNA and fingerprint evidence recovered from the abandoned SUV is now in investigators' hands. If those prints match anyone in any law enforcement database anywhere in the country, this case moves immediately. The FBI's forensic genetic genealogy technology means that even if the suspect has never been arrested before, a DNA match through a family member in a public genealogy database could identify them within weeks. The retired FBI agent said one solid piece of forensics released publicly could generate millions of tips overnight. That release may be coming. And when it does, the person who took Nancy Guthrie may find that the walls close in very fast. I will be right here when it happens. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, and do not look away from this case. Because after 90 days of silence, this investigation is about to get very loud. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 3 months. Her family is still fighting, and this channel will be here every single step of the way until there are answers. Stay aware, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.